Broadway. Broadway Beat.
Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway. Listen to the Broadway Beat. Broadway makes you want to move your feet. Everybody's tapping into everything that's happening on Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat.
Broadway Beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, where we bring you the very best of what the New York theater scene has to offer. This week we drop by the opening night party for the new Broadway musical Rock of Ages, which features some of the greatest rock songs from the 1980s. It stars Constantine Maroulis, Amy Spanger, and James Carpinello. We'll also visit with Tony Award winner Faith Prince, who has stepped into the role of Ursula in the hit Disney musical The Little Mermaid at the Lunfontaine Theater. But let's start things off with a critically acclaimed Dunmar Warehouse production of Schiller's Mary Stuart, which is just open at the Broadhurst Theater. Under the direction of Phillida Lloyd, the production stars Janet McTeer as Mary Queen of Scots and Harriet Walter as Queen Elizabeth. We caught up with them and the cast to talk about the show.
I'm playing a role called Burleigh. Burleigh in the play is a combination of two characters. The real Lord Burleigh, who was Elizabeth's kind of uncle figure and advisor from when she first became queen. And there's another character who's only mentioned one in the play, which is Walsingham, who is kind of the master of the dark arts. He was the spy catcher and the spy master of Elizabeth's reign. And Burleigh is a kind of combination of both people. And I guess he's a combo of Rahm Emanuel, Cheney. Imagine that in one kind of package. That's what he is. The real Lord Burleigh was very kind of avuncular and rounded and very diplomatic, but very sharp. And he was a kind of moderate Protestant. Walsingham was always a kind of hardline Protestant, totally anti-Catholic, and absolutely ruthless about dealing with terrorists, spies, Catholics, all that kind of thing.
I play Queen Elizabeth's Secretary of State, Sir William Davison, who is one of history's greatest scapegoats. To understand why, you'll have to see the play. But I've really enjoyed the research. I've really enjoyed understanding how this play relates very specifically to our time. It's extraordinary. I said to Phillida at one point, there's a section where somebody's talking about terrorists, basically, Catholic fanatic revolutionaries being trained at the Cardinals' base in Reims, and this sounds to me like Al-Qaeda. And I said to Phillida, has this been sexed up in any way? And she read the German translation, and it's pretty much a very accurate translation of what's in Schiller's text. And the way she's designed it and is directing it, it's like a contemporary political thriller, like a John le Carré thriller that addresses issues like, the rights of the individual and cutting corners in terms of pursuing justice for political expediency, as has happened in this country and in Britain in the past 8 years. I think it's really timely and really exciting.
I play the Earl of Leicester, who is the man closest to Queen Elizabeth in every possible way, her most intimate male council member. And working with these two extraordinary women and this great director has been an embarrassment of riches. And they're starting at square one, which is amazing because they did this play in London. They had a huge success with it, and 3 years have gone by, so it's not like they've just jumped the pond, but they really are starting fresh and seeing this new cast as a whole new world of possibilities for them as well. So it's just been really, really great to feel like they have a clean slate as well. And yet, Phillida knows what works. You know, she knows what works about the show. So there's a marvelous kind of, you know, guideposts set up, which is just great, really exciting.
You are an exception. Think of your upbringing. No throne in sight for you. Only your grave. God taught you harsh lessons. You were imprisoned in the Tower of London. No flatterers there. You learned early how to focus yourself, to hold true to what's worth holding on to. No such luck for the other poor royal girl. Shipped off to France as a child to the gay life. No one around her ever sober for long enough to teach her left from right. Addled by vice, swept downstream to destruction. And with the worst gift of all, beauty.
Okay, I'm playing a man called the Earl of Shrewsbury, who, in history, was Mary Stuart's first jailer before she was sent to Fotheringay to be killed. And he was sort of in love with her in a kind of fraternal sort of way. I mean, he loved her tremendously. And so my task in the play is to try and fight to prevent the other guys from getting the Queen to agree to chopping her head off. And so that's his function, because he's really, really, I mean, quite apart from the fact that he loves her, he really believes that it's wrong, legally and morally.
Well, I'd known this play for a while. I'd been offered the part of Mary 2 or 3 times when I was younger, so I'd read it several times in different translations. This translation struck me as much the most speakable, the most accessible, and the most kind of, it somehow has very, very clear points that make it very relevant and modern and like now. Even though it's in verse in certain places, it's still, you can tell it's for now. So that was what immediately jumped off the page. Before that, even, I wanted to work with Phillida. I'd done a couple of sort of workshops with her and semi-jobs, but not a complete production. And I loved watching her work. And I just thought, this woman and I understand her notes, I understand what she's saying, and it's so great to have someone who's very clear. So I knew I wanted to work with her. Then Janet, who I greatly admire and have known since she was 20-something and first burst on the stage, and I just remember thinking, this girl's going somewhere. And so the combination of all those things, and the Donmar Warehouse, which is a wonderful, exciting space to be, there was no way I was going to turn this job down. I didn't know how I would find much sympathy for Elizabeth, because on the top surface, she's quite a villainess. But when you look just 5 minutes, you study it a bit further, you realize that this woman had a lot to deal with, and I read lots of books about her, and I came to really appreciate and admire her. And she has a lot of flaws, which I enjoy playing as well, but I certainly find it a very round part to play. It's not a two-dimensional part, and I love to play with the very rare opportunity to play with an alpha female. You know, you don't usually get that on the stage of politics or on the stage proper on the theatre. You know, it's a rare duo, and it's very exciting to be part of that.
Cause is just. Why should you worry how it looks?
The world thinks with its eyes. Do you not know that, Knight? Everyone judges by appearance. No one bothers to fathom the realities. My right to reign is doubted, so my part in her demise must never be suspected. Nothing is safe except obscurity. The step that you admit to, that will be your tragedy, but what you keep unseen will cost you nothing.
So, I may assume that it would then be best.
Yes, carry on. Complete that thought. I see you see things clearly.
Use me. You must protect your reputation.
Oh, sir, I will. And if you were to wake me one morning with the news that Mary Stuart died in the night...
Depend on me.
the play feels as if it is so resonant at this moment in the US. And I don't know, would I have felt that 3 years ago? I should have done, because actually, of course, it's a play about, the moral climate in which governments operate. And, what is the price of security on your shores? How far are you prepared to go? How far are you prepared to ride roughshod with the law in order to make your nation feel safe? And all these things that just seem like, hang on, did somebody commission this play for now? This can't be written in 1800. The actors say to me, surely this bit must have been kind of sexed up to make it more exciting. It hasn't been. It's very, very quite an authentic version of Schiller's play, quite cut down, but it's his words. And so I just can't wait to see what, an American audience is going to make of it.
She's so exhausting. She's sort of the last 3 days of her life, really. So it's trying to fit in a whole character into one play, 3 acts. Three, 4 acts, and so she's beleaguered, and she was notoriously gregarious and generous and kind, and she was also, history is written by the winners, so she's often portrayed as sort of slightly soppy romantic girl, and she wasn't. If you read a lot of the sort of political agenda, she did incredibly well for really quite a long time. And until it went wrong, she was actually doing really well politically. And she could hold her own at the age of 19 with some serious political contenders in Scotland, twice her age, which is no mean feat. So I tried to bring a lot of power and a lot of intelligence, and as well as the things like the generosity. She was impulsive, she was passionate, she was sexy. So I try and bring all of those things to her as well. She didn't have the control that Elizabeth did, who ultimately was unbelievably controlled, which is why she managed to stay, queen for such a long time. And so it's trying to bring all of those things to her. And so consequently, every single scene there's something new to play, something new to find out. She's really a rounded character and really fascinating, as well as tragic and gorgeous. She's a gorgeous person, I think.
This is your true face we're seeing now. The mask has cracked. My sins were human failings, and I was young and power had confused me, but I have not denied them. I refuse to hide the truth. Oh, I let the worst be known, so I can say that what is said of me is worse than what I am. And history will not be so kind to you when it tears down this finely decorated drapery that veils your passions. You did not inherit much virtue from your mother. We all know for what crime Anne Boleyn was killed.
This submission is this restraint, my lady!
Human beings can only take so much. Restraint. Submission! Ah! Now I dispatch the lamb and let the lion out of its cage. Faint patience, like an angel float back up to heaven. And you gave Medusa her murdering eyes. Soak my words in poison.
She's beside herself. Forgive this
Do not
outburst.
listen to this raving woman. Hurry. Away from here. Away.
The throne of England is desecrated by a bastard!
Tony Award winner Faith Prince has stepped into the role of Ursula in the hit Disney musical The Little Mermaid at the L'Enfantine Theatre. We recently caught up with Faith to talk about the role.
I grew up on like Cruella de Vil and all the Disney classics. I loved all the villains. I loved to be scared as a kid. And because they were also humorous and funny and all those things. And I've told this before, but I'm a big fan of Joseph Campbell. I mean, that book, The Power of Myth. And being a parent, I really relate to what he said. Our myths were our teachers in the old days, and telling stories to children was how you got a child to sort of understand the lessons of life. And I think we've lost a lot of that in a big part of our culture, except for Disney. And Disney has sort of been the keeper of the keys in that way, and people don't realize it. But this is who's teaching our kids the lessons. So it's been interesting with them coming into Broadway and sort of fusing with the live theater. It's been a perfect match. And I'd never gotten the chance to do any of those shows for whatever reason, whether timing or the roles not being right. So when this came up, I thought, well, usually I look at something and say, okay, can I contribute something to it? You know, can I think in my sort of way how I'm going to go about sort of executing this character. And then, of course, you want to work with the director. You want to work within the structure because it's already been set. You're not going to reinvent the wheel, but you've got to add something to it. And it's an interesting process, sort of layering what you've got to give it with what's there. And it's sort of A, B, and C. As a character, doesn't matter if she's evil or anything. It's like, what does she want? What does she need? How does she get it? Does she succeed? And so just looking at it like that, then fusing in, I really wanted her to be a real character, not playing at it, but a real sense of danger. Because kids know better than anybody. They know when you're putting on. And it's like you want a sense of, because I mean, all the music, the lights go down low, she lives at the bottom of the sea. It's haunting and scary. And you want a sense of real danger there, but not too much. Just when it gets really scary, you have to turn on the humor. And finding those levels, and the material is so delicious. I'm in the makeup chair an hour before showtime. So the makeup takes almost an hour. Then I get into costume, and it's quite a whole garb. I mean, there's the fat suit, you know, you've got her bottom, because you are a squid. And it's strapped in, you've got sort of a, I don't know what you'd call it. It's sort of a brace to help your back because you've got this big sort of hinge with two pins that they put the tentacles on. So that goes underneath. Then you've got to put the dress on over that attaches. Then you get on the platform boots that are like 4 inches downstairs, and then they hook on your first tentacles, which are the curly tentacles, which are 6 huge tentacles, and then my hands and the gloves are the other 2. And then for the second number, the tentacles are attached to a cape. So you've got 2 big holes in the cape, and that's how you pull up the cape before your big note at the end of Poor Unfortunate Souls. So it's that, along with being in the pod, coming down the stairs, dealing with all these people skating around you. I mean, it's quite something. I've never experienced anything like it. I would say the most challenging is singing with that much weight pulling down on you. And wanting to get it in the right sort of range. I mean, I'm a person that likes the speaking into the song to be within the same sort of format. Meaning that, you know, if it's an evil character, you notice I'm talking my bottom voice. I use a lot of, you know, not on your life, you know, sort of big booming voice. I don't want the singing to be way up here because it doesn't match who she is. So finding the right keys, so it's all of one mind. So when I go from speech into music, you don't feel like I'm doing a musical. It's just one solid arc of who she is. That's what I'm shooting for. You know, it's like a myth. People relate to it. They find it magical. And I mean, Sierra is just one of the most consistently beautiful voices. She has one of the most consistently beautiful voices I've ever heard. The voices in the show alone, just listening backstage, like I get a lot of time on this. Usually I'm on stage a long time. Like Catered Affair, I was on stage the full hour and 40 minutes, consistently. King and I, probably 3 hours. This, I'm only on stage for 22 minutes, but it's power-packed. A lot of the time I spend backstage listening to the voices and the scenes and the songs and the audience responding to it. It's magical.
The new musical Rock of Ages has rolled into the Brooks Atkinson Theater after a sold-out run earlier this season off-Broadway. The musical, which features some of the greatest rock songs of the 1980s, stars Constantine Maroulis, Amy Spanger, and James Carpinello. We were on hand to celebrate with them on opening night.
Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlights, people.
Well, you know, I have have a real luxury with this show of having a multi-artist catalog where I can pull from hundreds of songs. So I really, at some point I started the story with Don't Stop Believin'. I think that was the linchpin for it. But then I was able to just kind of, whatever story I wanted it to be, I could find a song that kind of fit. And it was really fun. And I think where it really clicked for me was when I started playing with the idea of mashing songs together and doing medleys, where I could kind of have two songs be dialogue against each other. And that's when it got really fun for me as a writer, to kind of really make these songs that I love, dialogue and pop songs and show tunes.
You know what? 80s music is so hard, and it's kind of raw, and it's so strong, and it's in your face. You can't not dance to it. So as far as the movement, it comes pretty easy, and it was everything was really exaggerated and large, and people did have big hair, and so you were always throwing, like, the girls danced with their hair. It was all about the hair and the walk and sort of the attitude.
Excellent question. Sometimes I sleep, sometimes it's not for days. The people I meet always go their separate ways, yeah. Sometimes you tell the day by the bottle that you drink. Thanks, buddy. Times when you're alone, said all you do is think, I'm a cowboy. On a steel horse I ride, and I'm wanted, dead or alive. Wanted, dead or alive.
Well, I was just telling my wife, I actually think I like the role, like I like myself as that guy a little bit more than myself lately. I put the hair on, I'm standing there, I'm getting ready to go, I'm like, I kind of like this dude. I want to be this guy for a little while, because I can do anything. I mean, I got 2 little kids. I can't act like that at home.
It must be a fantasy to play this kind of role,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I grew up on this music. I mean, I get to sing Bon Jovi every night. I mean, come on. You can't beat that.
Well, let's talk about the audience's reaction to the show on Broadway.
Like I said, I mean, I've seen shows like this, but I've never been a part of them. I mean, it's truly unbelievable to watch people enjoy themselves that much. You'd think the houses were papered. They're fully sold. It's unbelievable.
I think the comedy is really hitting hard, and people are just loving it with the songs. It's really great.
Because it's lowbrow and it's silly, but it's also hilarious and smart and clever and
people come to it to escape.
Talk about the roles that you play.
I play Regina, who is an activist, city planner from Berkeley, who comes to the Sunset Strip, and there's a threat of these German developers to tear down the Sunset Strip to, replace it with strip malls and, a Foot Locker athletic store and stuff like that. So I lead a protest to save the Sunset Strip. That's what I do.
I play Franz, a young, effeminate German boy who is the son of the antagonist. But then I make a transformation, and in Act 2, I join sides with the protesters, and
we fall in love.
We fall in love.
And even as I wander, I'm keeping you in sight. You're a candle in the window on a cold, dark winter's night. And I'm getting closer and I and I can't fight this feeling anymore. I've forgotten what I started fighting for. It's time to bring the ship into the shore and throw away the oars forever.
Well, just because I get to show you that the rules are that there are no rules. I kind of get away with murder in this show. I can kind of break all the conventions, break that fourth wall, talk directly to people, connect with people. Have a great time with the lead guitarist from Night Ranger, so it's fun every night.
This will be even cooler.
Star of the show, Mitch Jarvis right here. Star of the show.
Thanks,
right?
buddy.
We can say that, right?
No, listen. I just
told Constantine over there, man. He's second fiddle. Is that cool?
Sure,
I just
yeah.
went like this to him. I said, number 2.
I'll take that. From Joe.
Number 1 right here. Heartbeat of the show, Mitch Jarvis.
We're blessed to have an amazing creative team, incredibly aggressive and young and innovative producers who take risks and they're bold and they make shit happen. And we're very blessed. We're telling a great love story about 2 dreamers through the amazing songs of the 80s. I mean, who doesn't love these songs? They lend themselves so well theatrically to what we're doing, and we're all very blessed.
Why do you think audiences are falling in love with this show?
I think we're in incredibly challenging times economically, socially. Our country, we have a beautiful new president. We're seeing the light, at the end of the tunnel, definitely. I think this is the kind of show that people want to come to, enjoy themselves, the suspended belief, embrace this amazing era where everyone felt great, and a great, fun story, incredibly funny, a cheap ticket, insane talent, and, it's just a good time, man.
They go berserk. Something about the 80s. I don't know what it is. It's like the demographic is humongous, like of people who love the 80s. And I think it's also like we lure them in with that, but we also deliver with like a really smart and funny script. So I think like that combination is really winning.
And what's been the best part of the experience with coming back again?
Just playing this part. I love her. Like I love her.